Okay, hello. This is a probability calculation of the CIA screwing with my CPAP machine to cause me grievous bodily harm, especially my heart, kidneys, and feet. Kidneys are especially bad now. Having a lot of trouble with my kidneys. So, as a general introduction, I will show you with a statistical analysis that there is virtually zero chance all the crazy things that happen with my CPAP machines are random and natural. That's impossible, the stuff that happened. They have to be man made. To get the same probability of all this occurring naturally, I would have to win the Powerball lottery this many times. I mean, that's a crazy number. Good luck winning the lottery once. Winning the Powerball lottery twice is seemingly impossible. Winning it that many times is crazy impossible. That's never going to happen. You're never going to live long enough to get anywhere close to that many lotteries being held. And as you will see, I am super lenient and generous with the probabilities. I mean, super generous. For example, I could have included the 14 years of toxic mold wax, which damaged my heart, my kidneys, my lungs, all right, intestines, liver. For example, the CIA installed toxic mold injectors in the ventilation duct right above where I was sitting everywhere I went, trying to escape the toxic mold. All right. And for example, when I was in Chicago, I would go everywhere throughout the entire Chicago area and, the greater Chicago area up to Wisconsin and Indiana. And always within 30 minutes of me getting there, the first 30 minutes, the air would be perfectly clear. All right. And then right around 30 minutes after I got there, suddenly toxic mold would be pouring out of the ventilation duct right above my head. And only that duct. No other duct in the whole place. All right. Now, what are the chances that a massive amount of toxic mold would suddenly grow in 30 minutes? Zero. This is impossible. Zero chance here. But let's say 1 out of a million to be conservative. All right. That's super generous. But I'll even be more generous. I won't count one time. Zero. I have zero here. I'm not going to count this at all. Each day, they would whack me everywhere I go. I would go to multiple places in the same day, trying to escape it, trying to get some fresh air. And then they did this every damn day. And then they did this for multiple years. I mean, it's a massive number of impossibility. I'm not even counting that. But it will count the times they whacked my CPAP with toxic mold. So, I had used my CPAP machine for 8 years with zero problems. Then one day, it went from having zero toxic mold to be so full of it that a thick cloud came out, pouring constantly out of my mask. Right? And it was killing me. Now, there's zero chance a massive amount of toxic mold could grow in 16 hours from when I stopped using it in the morning to when I started using it again at night. In that shorter period, there's zero chance. It has to be a massive amount for the cloud of toxic mold spores being poured out. It had to be a massive amount of toxic mold grow instantaneously. That's not happening. That's zero probability. Zero. Plus, there is zero chance that much toxic mold could grow in the very small surface area inside the CPAP. All right, here's my CPAP machine that was whacked. This is the air pump section. Here's a water tank section. Right now, in the water tank section, you lift up this lid. You can pull out this water tank. It's a box. You can't see it from here. Right now, right behind the water tank is this what do you call it? This chamber. Right? It's about a little over 1 inch on each side. It's a square, a cube. All right. Now, there was no toxic mold in the air pump section, no toxic mold in the water tank section, but this was loaded. Now, there's no way you can fill this with enough toxic mold that all those toxic mold spores would pour out. It had to have been pure, 100%, concentrated toxic mold spores that the air blew through and it streamed out. All right? There's no mold. And even if there was mold, you cannot grow enough mold in this tiny space to have that massive cloud of toxic mold spores pour out. It had to have been only toxic mold spores. So this is all impossible. All of this is zero probability. But to be super, super generous and fair, let's say 1 in a million. This is not going to happen. Now, what people don't realize is what a torture it was being forced to breathe concentrated toxic mold spores constantly being blown out of my CPAP directly through my mask into my face, and I have to breathe that all night long. Otherwise, I won't be able to breathe. I'll suffer. So I suffer anyways. Now, I knew the CIA. They've done so much crap to me in the past. Who knows? No one knows anything. Now, I knew that they filled it with toxic mold, and I suspected it would run out after a while. So I kept the CPAP on my person. I took it everywhere with me. Everywhere I went, knowing that it's eventually going to run out. And it did run out after about 2 weeks. Right? So suddenly, after 2 weeks of torture, the toxic mold spores totally disappeared. Right? Now, if it's really toxic mold, it keeps pouring out forever. It's not going to suddenly stop completely. That tells me there was no toxic mold. They loaded it with toxic mold spores. And it's the spores that kill you. The spores release superoxidizing molecules that break down any molecule in your body. Why? Because mold is a decomposer. Right? That's its function in the food chain, in the food cycle. You have producers, consumers, and decomposers. It's a decomposer, decomposing me. Right? If the toxic mold spores were released from real live mold, what are the chances that the spores would pour out in a thick cloud for 2 weeks and then suddenly stop completely? Like all the mold, for no reason, died. All of it. That's not happening. Now, I don't know what improbability is. I'm sure it's pretty big. But I give it 0. I'm giving it no weight. I'm super generous. This is not going to happen. Probability of this is small. But because I can't guess how small, I'll say 0. That's super generous. Now, the first whack of my CPAP with toxic mold lasted about 2 weeks, after which my CPAP was totally free of toxic mold for months. And by the way, my feet are so killing me right now because they're whacking toxic mold right now. Fuckers. Then I left my CPAP and sleeping bag at the front of an Office Depot. So what happened was the CIA screwed in my laptop. And they did this quite often where they mess with the cursor, the touchpad, and it just goes crazy. I eventually learned how to fix it myself, but I didn't know at the time. So I took my computer to an Office Depot where they have a computer specialist and wanted to get him to help me to fix it. And if I don't take my sleeping bag, that'll be sprayed with toxic mold. If I don't take the CPAP, it'll be filled with toxic mold again. So I took them both in a bag, in my green duffel bag. However, I felt very, I guess, insecure about bringing the bag inside the store with me because I thought they may think I was shoplifting. So I left the bag at the front of the store thinking, in the busy, crowded store, no one's going to mess with it. All right. And then I was working with a guy, I don't know, at least a half hour, maybe an hour. He's helping me. And eventually he couldn't help me. And then, so that night, when I went to use my CPAP, once again, it was full of toxic mold. Now, for months, it was clear. So only during that time, when I left it up front, the toxic mold suddenly grow into a massive amount. No, they replaced this cartridge. It turns out that I didn't know it at the time, but you could separate these two parts right there. There's a little lever at the bottom. You pull it, and this will come apart. And then if you lift the lid here, this tank will pull out, and right behind the tank, there is this cartridge. All right? And this pops out in a second. You could replace this, separate it, pull it apart, pull out the tank, pull out the cartridge, replace it all in 10 seconds. Certainly no more than 15 seconds. That's how they do it so fast. All right. So what are the chances it's filled again? Well, the same chances here. There's no way a massive amount's going to suddenly grow. And there's no way you can get that much grown in there where it pours toxic mold spores out in a thick cloud. It has to be packed full of only toxic mold spores alone. It's CIA grown, separated and purified toxic mold spores. 100% government inspected pure toxic mold spores. Bioterrorist stuff. So now what happened is the CIA got better at filling this thing, right? So it lasted about a month this time. I suffered every night, all night long for about a month, having to breathe concentrated toxic mold spores pouring into my mask. I mean, these guys, it's not the first time these guys tortured me, but, it's part of the continuation. All right? And then what happened was, during the summer, I can't remember which year, I went to the 2nd Street Market here in Dayton, and there's a dining area where they have the most tables. I mean, there's a few scattered tables here and there, but there's one section where there's a number of dining tables, maybe about 20 or 25 or so, right? And I had to go to the bathroom. I had to go and number one, right? So it's going to take just about a minute, right? And I decided to leave my bag there thinking, well, there's so many people here. Who's going to take it out in public and, fill it? Right? And what I didn't know, it's so damn easy to do. And when I came back to my table, only a minute later, there's a whole brand new set of people there. And looking back, I'm thinking they probably, said, here's a $100 bill. Can we have this table? They got the table. And they were sitting at the table right next to where I had my bag. And they easily could have picked up my bag when no one's looking, no one's paying attention. Even people thinking that's their bag. All right, because it's right where they're sitting. Or maybe they created a diversion. Someone spilled a tray or spilled a drink or something. Made some commotion, I don't know. Right? And then in 15 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds, they refill it again. So it's packed full again. This time it lasted 2 months. God, I had to suffer 2 months with this. All right. What are the chances that within that 1 minute, all that toxic mold is going to grow? And that same probability, it's not happening. I had to suffer breathing in direct concentrated toxic mold all night long while I slept for 2 months this time. It was torture. And then one day I went to the library, the Dayton Public Library at the Philadelphia Street branch, and it was pouring rain hard. You know, like major thunderstorm pouring rain. And I got out of my car and ran to the library just to get out of the rain. And what happened is I forgot my bag in the back seat. All right. And I was there only a couple hours, but you know, that's a lot more than 10 seconds. So they easily came in and refilled it again. And this time it lasted a long time. And I don't know how long I suffered through it, but I said, screw it. And even though I have severe apnea, 37 episodes an hour, 30 or greater is classified as severe apnea. Right? I slept without it for about, I guess about a year. Without my CPAP. Right? All right, now the only 4 times I left my CPAP unattended, every single time the CIA loaded with toxic mold. Now, what are the chances that every time I left my CPAP unattended, suddenly a massive amount of toxic mold grew within a matter of minutes when I left it unattended? There's 0 chance. Only when I left it unattended. I'm thinking 1 in a million is super conservative. All right? But I'll be super generous and not even count this one. I'm still going to get, I tell you, I'm still going to get this crazy massive number anyways. So I'm not even counting this. I'm saying there's 0 chance that every time I leave my seat, it's filled with toxic mold. All right. So again, this is how they did it. Here's my CPAP machine, right? If you pull a lever on the bottom, it unlatches. If you lift this lid here, this water tank slides out forward, and right behind it in the back here is this chamber. This is where they loaded the toxic mold into. Right? So then I used my CPAP. Now after I found this out, I knew that the toxic mold isn't here and there would be free of mold. So I wasn't using my CPAP for a while. I then used it that night, and sure enough, it was free of toxic mold. So what are the chances that there's no toxic mold in here? There's 0 toxic mold in the clear plastic tank, right? The cover is gray, but from the side it's clear, right? There's no mold in it. It's completely clear. All the mold happened to grow only in here. Oh, bullshit. If it's going to grow in here, it's growing throughout the whole damn thing. But this is totally clear. That's man-made. If mold's going to grow naturally, it's not going to grow only in this thing. So this is working fine. And I used this for about a year. Then the CIA started screwing with my CPAP, remotely controlling it, shutting it off, so I suffocated without sleeping. Then my heart got bad. But some things happened before that. I'll get to that. Now, what is the probability that the toxic mold would only grow in that tiny part right here and nowhere else. Bullshit. That's not happening. I'm saying, I don't know how big the probability is. 1 in a million, maybe, I don't know. 1 in 100, 1 in 100, I don't know. So I say 0. I give it no weight whatsoever. That's super generous. Oh, look at all these zeros. All of these are generous, but the zeros are super generous. Now, then about a year later, in March of 2019, right after the ski season, the CIA whacked me with a common cold virus, a rhinovirus. All right. Now, normally they whack me with toxic mold, but on numerous occasions, right, not super often, they would spray something in the air, and it would be noxious. It would make me cough and gag. It'd make my eyes burn, my nasals burn, my lungs burn. It would produce massive phlegm immediately. In an instant, going from perfectly pure air to a thick cloud. Now you can't see it, it's invisible, but you can breathe it. You know it's thick. And then I immediately get a cold, which is an upper respiratory infection. Runny nose, sneezing, coughing, sore throat, blah, blah, blah. Common cold, right? So what are the chances of that happening? 0. What are the chances the air is perfectly clear and then thick cloud making you gag and cough, and then you get a cold? That doesn't happen. You tell me any one person who that's happened to. An artificial, sudden, thick cloud from nowhere, and then you get a cold. Normally you just get a cold during cold and flu season. Someone else has a cold. All right? That's how you get it. They cough, sneeze, breathe on you. You touch something. All right? You get it in your mouth. That's how you get it. There's no thick cloud in the air. But you know what? I'm going to say that's how you always get a cold. Everyone in the world, whenever they get a cold, it's always because there's a thick cloud sprayed in the air. Out of nowhere. That's super generous. This should be 1 in a million. Right? It's infinite. That's not happening. That's not happens to no one. But I'll give it 0 weight. And then it takes your body 5 days to get rid of a cold, because it takes your adaptive immune system about 5 days to ramp up and then beat that cold or flu. So colds and flus last 5 days. So 5 days, my body's getting rid of that cold. The symptoms are gone. But then they whack me with another cloud. All right? Air is perfectly clear. In an instant, a thick cloud is sprayed, burning my nose, burning my eyes, burning my lungs, making me cough and gag. Thick phlegm being produced instantly. There's no phlegm, and then now, literally in an instant, I'm producing gobs of phlegm. That is totally not natural. Exactly on the 5th day when I get rid of the cold. They're playing a game. They're fucking with me. Just when I get rid of the cold, they whack me with, this time, an adenovirus. A lower respiratory tract infection. Right? So what are the chances of that? It's slim to none. You're not going to be whacked with a cloud. But you know what? I'll say this. I'll say every 10 times you get a cold, on the 10th time, exactly 5 days after that, you're whacked with a thick cloud, and then you get a lower respiratory tract infection. So you go from a cold, upper respiratory tract infection, exactly 5 days later, you get a lower respiratory tract infection in your lungs, right? 1 out of 10 is super generous because this is not happening. All right. And then what happened was the CIA whacked me with the adenovirus every damn day. Once a day. Big, thick cloud. Out of nowhere. Every day. For over a month. It was like, I'm guessing around 33, maybe 35 days. I know it was over a month. Now, I should multiply 1,000,000, because that doesn't happen, by 30. I mean, what are the chances? Or maybe 1,000,000 times 1,000,000 times 1,000,000 times 1,000,000 times 1,000,000. Really, that's what I should multiply. 1,000,000 times 30 times. That's not happening. All right? Now, I wasn't worried about this thick cloud every damn day because I knew that my adaptive immune system would ramp up and it would suppress that adenovirus. And sure enough, 5 days later, it was gone. All right? Now, for the next 30 days or so, they continued whacking me. All right? And I wasn't worried about it, thinking, man, my immune system's going to knock it down. But what I didn't know is the constant exposure to the adenovirus gave me myocarditis, right? So after about 35 days of constant exposure every day, my heart starts hurting bad, right? And I have shortness of breath, and I'm very weak. I can barely get around, right? And then it got so bad, I went to the ER. I went to the VA hospital emergency room, right? And when I went there, I got no help, right? And I told them, I think I have myocarditis. And they said, oh, you didn't have a heart attack. I said, yeah, I know I didn't have a heart attack. And I had a chest x-ray done then. And there was no emphysema in my lungs. I had 3 separate chest x-rays, one in 2009, one in 2011, one in 2013, right? Each 2 years apart. Each time they said I had emphysema, atelectasis, COPD. Every time they diagnosed me with that. And I remember reading the first clinical note. They said I had large cavernous gaps in my lungs, especially my left lung was messed up. Right? Get a chest x-ray now, and it's clear. That is biologically impossible. Lung tissue doesn't regrow. It's not like liver. Liver regrows like a I don't know, a tadpole tail or whatever, right? That gets cut off, right? Lungs don't regrow. It's permanent damage. It never repairs. That's in the x-ray forever. So, that's impossible. But I'm not counting that. All right? So they said I didn't have a heart attack, and I repeatedly told them that I knew I didn't have a heart attack, but it was myocarditis. They just discharged me with zero help, no advice, no anti-inflammatory. Just get out of here, see you later, so long. They're worthless. But guess what? The CIA suddenly stopped their daily adenovirus attacks immediately. 35 days in a row, they whack me every day. I go into the ER. Oh, it stops. They don't whack me. Bullshit. What are the chances of it stopping then? Like 0? I mean, 1 in a million is conservative. But I say 1 in 10. All right? That's super generous. So, I'll be even more super generous and count it as 1 in 10. Like 1 in 10 people get sprayed with a thick cloud of adenovirus every day for 35 months. Count it. Every 10 people you see, 1 of them gets sprayed with adenovirus that makes them gag every day, and then it suddenly stops after they get myocarditis. That's crazy. That happens to no one. That's super generous. And then it took about a month to recover from myocarditis so that I got back to like 90%. I've had myocarditis twice now. Well, actually, I could say 3 times when they're whacking my CPAP. All right? But the other time I got it was when I got the COVID vaccine, AstraZeneca, and then I got pushed into getting the shingles vaccine, and I got myocarditis. I've never been pushed. See, that's another time they fuck with me. I know she was networked. I know they network all around me. They get people to do dirty shit. And so that's another time. And then a little after a month, the fuckers whack me with the rhinovirus again. Spray the thick cloud, and then I get a common cold, upper respiratory tract infection. What are the chances? 1 in 10 people get a common cold after being sprayed with a thick cloud that burns your eyes and nose. All right, that happens to no one. That's not how you get a cold. You get a cold when other people are sick around you. You don't get a cold from an artificial thick cloud in the air. But let's say 1 in 10 people get that. That's how they get a cold. And then 5 days later, the cold is gone. But then they spray me that day, on the 5th day. And this time I get an adenovirus. Once again. I get a lower respiratory tract infection. So, what are the chances of that happening? Exactly 5 days again. Exactly 5 days here. Right? Then exactly 5 days again. So let's say every 10 colds you get, exactly 5 days later, there's something sprayed in the air, and then you get a lower respiratory tract infection after you had a cold. Exactly 5 days later. That never happens to anyone. That's super generous. And then 5 days later, the lower respiratory tract infection clears, but then they spray something else. Another, I don't know what they sprayed, but it was another lower respiratory tract infection. I expect it was a virus, probably a flu virus, a lower respiratory tract flu virus, because that lasted 5 days as well. Right? Again, 1 in 10 chances. That's super generous. That's like 1 in a million, if not 1 in a billion. That doesn't happen. So now, what are the chances that 4 times in a row I'm sprayed exactly 5 days after I have a cold? Right? On the 5th day, when I just get over it, I'm sprayed again, and I get another infection. What is that? What is the chances that happens 4 times in a row within a matter of just over a month? 0. That's not happening. 1 in a billion, 1 in whatever, I don't know. But I don't count it at all. That is super, super generous. And then the CIA immediately started fucking with my CPAP to give me myocarditis again. But because they first gave me myocarditis with a virus, this whole virus thing, this whole virus charade, right? This complicated sequence of viruses, that got me thinking that when I got myocarditis again, it was due to a virus. But there was nothing sprayed in the air. But what that did was, that got me to shift all focus off of the CPAP. I never once considered that the CPAP was doing this because I thought it was a virus. And that's the game the CIA was playing. They whacked me with this elaborate repeat virus, whacking every 5th day, so that when I get myocarditis again, I would immediately think virus. I would never suspect CPAP. That's exactly a game the CIA plays. And they did the exact same trick when they first started whacking me with toxic mold back in November 2007. All right? It was right after I was admitted to a hospital to get an angiogram for a damaged blood vessel in my leg that caused it to go ice cold. And when I got home, as soon as I got home after being hospitalized, right then, that's when all the craziness in my body started happening. All right? First thing is, my fingertips turned bright dark red. Right? Then, within a few days, I had organ pain in my liver, kidneys, intestines. All right? Constant pain. And I had heart pain. I had shortness of breath. I could barely climb stairs. And I was super healthy. Except for that leg issue. Right? And then, for the next 2 years, they tortured the shit out of me. And the whole time, I thought it was the procedure. Right? They did the same thing. They got me to think it was the hospital procedure, not the toxic mold. It was after I tried to commit suicide 3 times because they'd broken me down so bad that I discovered it was toxic mold. And then once I discovered it's toxic mold, I tried to stay out of my place everywhere. And then they started whacking me everywhere. I'm trying to stay out of my place, even outdoors, at the library, at the clubhouse. The condo association. So shortly after all the virus exposure, I started having constant heart pain, shortness of breath, weakness, fatigue. My first thought was that they were continuing the virus wax, but there was never any, thick cloud of noxious stuff pumped in the air. So I was confused. My heart pain went on for about 3 months, and my heart was getting worse. Then one morning, 3 months into this, I became conscious while my body was still in the sleep mode, and I heard the CPAP machine completely turning off for a while, and then turning back on for a while. Turning off for a while, turning back on for a while. Turning off for a while, turning back on for a while. Right? And when it turned off, I had great difficulty breathing. And I let it go through 3 cycles, just out of curiosity. What the hell's going on? Right? I studied this for about 3 cycles. Then I took off the mask. Now I used the CPAP for 8 years without a single problem. And now this happened. And actually, I felt good about finding this out because I thought, now I know what's causing my heart problems. All right, it's a CPAP machine. All right, but what are the chances of my CPAP machine failing like this, where it turns off for a while, turns on for a while? Let's say it fails like this every single time. So I'm going to apply no probability. It happens every time this way. That's generous. That's super generous. All right. But now, look at it this way. What are the chances that never once, when I turned on the CPAP machine and I'm breathing through it while I was awake trying to fall asleep, it never turned off once? I mean, it's turning off, turning on, turning off. Well, why didn't it turn off when I was awake? Why didn't it turn off when I first woke up in the morning and I still had the mask on? It only turned off when I was sleeping, but I became conscious and I was in a sleep mode. So my brain waves are probably in a sleep mode, I don't know, maybe not, but my breathing certainly was. I remember breathing like I was asleep in the long, steady breaths, right? So as far as the CIA knew, I was sleeping. As soon as I wake up, they turn it off. So 90 days, only one day, it turned off. But it was killing me for 90 days. So I rounded up to 100. 1.5. That's super fair. Don't tell me it's never going to turn off when I'm awake. Bullshit. That morning, I went to the VA and got a brand new CPAP machine. Right? But that night, it killed me even worse. The brand new machine killed me even worse. What are the chances a brand new CPAP machine would fail on the very first use when CPAPs are high liability medical devices? If they fail, they can cause death or certainly organ damage, even organ failure. So, I mean, I haven't read anywhere, but it's common sense. They've done a whole shitload of product testing, right? I mean, they're insured. And they're insured, the insurance company has studied their product testing before they insure them. And when they make it, every single CPAP machine, they don't just slap it together, throw it in the box and ship it out, cross the fingers and hope it doesn't bust. They do a factory test, diagnostic, right? On such an important machine, they're making sure it works. And it works properly. What are the chances, after all the testing, after that machine is specifically tested, it's boxed up, but the very first time you use it, it fails? Now, I think it's very conservative and safe to say 1 in 1,000. 1 out of every 1,000 machines fails that way. I mean, I think if you got 1 in 1,000 machines failing, that company is going to go out of business pretty fast. That company can be sued out of business very fast. I mean, they can produce tens of thousands of machines, right? 10, 50 lawsuits could kill them. They can produce hundreds of thousands of machines. Who knows? I don't know how many machines they produce. All right. I think that's super fair. So now I suffered terribly with this brand new CPAP machine for 2 months. And I got so bad, right? My heart was this machine was killing me. I got so bad that I fully expected to die soon. Out of desperation, I decided to try sleeping without my CPAP, even though I have severe apnea. And, 37 events an hour. That's severe. Above 30, severe. In the morning, I felt 100% better. I felt great. I remember thinking, man. So that meant, feeling better with apnea, with severe apnea. That meant the CPAP machine was killing me. All right? It's far worse than the apnea, and I have severe apnea. Now, for the next year and 4 months, I slept sitting up using a harness. Then in about March, April this year, I started getting heart and kidney pain again. Right? Now it's my kidneys that are giving me a greater problem. It was right after ski season, and the CIA had been whacking me hard, right, with toxic mold for about 2 weeks. The pain continued to get worse, so I saw my doctor, who was kind of an idiot, right, and probably networked, right, based upon what she said, right. So I said, I'm having trouble breathing with my apnea, all right. My heart's gotten bad, my kidneys gotten bad, all right. My feet are getting bad, my feet are real bad, and she said, "Oh, your feet aren't bad. They don't look that bad. It's not, right? And you're gonna get. You probably have just neuropathy, right?" And then she said, "I don't think it's kidney pain, right?" And then she said, "I don't think it's heart pain. You could have pulled a muscle." And then they also said, "I got a wart." And she said, "I don't think it's a wart. It's clearly a wart. In fact, after they whacked me with the viruses, I got warts all over my body. Never in my life had I had warts. Never have I had warts. I never had a wart. I've never had a wart. God's honest truth. And then suddenly, after they whacked me with all these viruses, I got warts all over my body. All over my arms, my hands, my fingers, my face. And there's one in my face still. All the warts disappeared since then, but I still got one on my face. It's clearly a wart. It looks like a wart. She says, "I don't think it's a wart." Fuck. But she said, "You know what? I'll schedule these tests." Right? And you know what I said to her? Man, I don't trust a single test. After getting 3 chest x-rays and diagnoses, right? And then I got like 4, maybe even 5 chest x-rays here in Dayton. Everyone is perfectly clear. I have perfect lungs. Bullshit! And I know the CIA was whacking my meter. For about 8 years, my glucose meter worked perfect. Whenever they whacked me with toxic mold, my blood sugar would be in the high 200s. Whenever they didn't, it'd be like 90 to 120 or so. Right? Every time, perfectly. I can tell when they whack me with toxic mold. And then sure enough, my blood sugar's high. And then, in about 2019, it flips. So that every time they whack me, the blood sugar's perfect. It's 90. Every time they don't whack me, it's in the 200s. It's exactly opposite. Now, I know that the glucose machine has a wireless data uplink, right? So, any money the CIA hacked at, they're the world's greatest hackers. They hack into everything. So then what I did was I tested my blood sugar. Whenever they whack me hard, I tested my blood sugar at home, and it's 90. I ride my bike to the park at one of those pavilions where they have a table under a roof, and my blood sugar then, 5 minutes later, is 250. That's impossible. I ate nothing. It's not going to go from 90 to 250. That lasted for about a week. And then suddenly, it's normal at the park. So then I started riding further up the trail. And sure enough, it's back up to 250. Right? CIA's covering it. They're installing their wireless control devices. So then I say to her, CIA's been screwing me, I mean, they're probably watching me now in total violation of HIPAA, federal, health privacy laws. They got cameras in here, and all the world can watch me now. And you would think she'd say, "Oh, that's a little bit crazy," or you ever think about seeing a psychiatrist or something like that, right? But no, she says, "Oh, everyone's watched all the time. That's normal." That's fucking not normal. No one's watched all the time. You're not watching all 7.7 billion people. No one's watched like this by the whole damn world. Now, I'm not saying the whole world's watching me at all the time or even know me, but it's available for the whole damn world to see. Who's that made of it? Only me that's done to. And she's like, "Oh, that's done to everyone." Bullshit. That was a total bullshit rationalization. That's simply not true. You're not watching 7.7 billion people. And 7.7 billion people are not watching all other 7.7 billion people. I'm the only one that's done to. In violation of federal HIPAA law. So then, out of desperation, I scheduled a non-VA sleep study conducted on June 4th. And it was a split study in which for the first 3 hours, I slept without a CPAP. And then for the next 4 hours, I slept with a CPAP. And the tech was adjusting the pressure. She adjusted it to 9.0 centimeters of water. And she said with that, I had 0 sleep incidents and 95% oxygenation, right? Which is damn good. And I felt 100% better. I felt great, even though for the first 3 hours I slept without the CPAP, right? Now, the CIA let the CPAP work for 4 days. The date of the sleep study, and then the next 3 days it worked perfect. And by the 4th day, all my heart and kidney pain were completely gone. All right? I had no pain anymore. And then the 5th day, what happened was when I put on the mask to use the CPAP and turned it on, it blew super hard. So damn hard, the air was just blowing past the seals. So damn hard, it was hard to exhale. I had to struggle to breathe out. It's blowing so much pressure. And it blew like that for about about 20 minutes. And then suddenly all the lights on the machine lit up. Now the lights don't light up unless you press the button for the light. But the lights lit up and the machine suddenly dropped to normal pressure. That lasted for about 20 minutes. Right? And then suddenly the lights lit up again and the pressure dropped so low I could hardly breathe. I had to take the mask off. I let it sit for a while, turned the machine back on, and it worked fine. So then I went to sleep. Right? Now, then what happened was I only got about an hour's sleep, and I woke up gasping for air. I remember like waking up going, right, gasping for air. And my arms were totally numb. Both arms were totally numb. And then all the heart and kidney pain had completely returned. Big time. It hurt a lot. All right. And then I was only able to sleep that 1 hour. I couldn't get back to sleep because I was so jacked up because they tortured me so damn hard. Right? And the mask seal said 100% perfect seal. So it had to have been the CPAP. Now, why did they play this game? Well, they blew it super hard, blew it normal, and then dropped it. So that I would complain. Anybody, this is what they did. They knew I would complain that the CPAP was broken, right? If they just did this, right? And they wanted to discredit me. So they played this crazy ass game, blowing it super hard, blowing it normal, barely blowing anything at all, right? So I complained. They attacked that to attack my credibility, make a big joke, have everyone mocking and laughing at me, right? And then when I complain about the damage to my lungs, they're all saying, he's bullshit, because they're preconditioned to disbelieve. That is a classic game the CIA plays all the time. They manipulate control perception so easily. And no one's going to remember all this. In one ear, out the other. People won't retain any of this. The next night, the CPAP worked perfect, and my heart, kidney pain were almost gone. Now, what are the chances that the night before it works 4 nights, totally kills me, and then works perfect again? Maybe that happens to 1 out of 100 people, or 1 out of 100 machines. Either way, that's super generous. That's not happening. Works perfect one night, kills me the next night. Works perfectly the next night. Bullshit. And then the next night, it totally failed again. And I woke up desperate for air. Both arms were again numb, and the kidney and chest and heart pain returned. Now this shows that the heart and kidney pain are caused by the CPAP. I'm desperate for air. So my doctors are dumb shit. So what are the chances of this happening? Oh, 1 out of every 100 people, or 1 out of every 100 machines does this. Works perfect, then fails. Works perfect, then fails. Works perfect one night, fails next night. Bullshit. And then the next night, it worked perfectly, and my heart and kidney pain were gone. Another 100. And then the next night, and every night after that, the machine failed. So I stopped using it. Now I have severe apnea, and I stopped using it because the machine's killing me. And then my kidney pain kept getting worse and worse. And I started getting a lot of fluid retention. And now, you know, my sweat smells like urine. It's kind of disgusting. My skin is all dark brown with a yellow. I'm retaining all the toxins. And I imagine the fluid, all the toxins are being built up and stored in my abdominal cavity, right? So I have like something like ascites, where my abdomen is all bloated and distended, all right? And then because I got desperate, I started using the CPAP again, but now it worked perfect for 5 days, and I was getting better. And then just last night, I used the CPAP from about 11:30 a.m. I used it for like 6 hours. And then the last 90 minutes I used it between like 7:30 and 9 o'clock. It killed me again. I woke up with numb arms, all right? And I didn't have that much kidney pain. But today, again, I stunk real bad. My skin color got bad. All right. It was clearing up. In the last few days, it was clearing up a little bit. Now it's dark brown again. So I'm not even counting this one. All right. Now, what are the chances that 3 totally separate CPAP machines all fail in a row, back to back to back. I told you these are high liability machines. I told you that they undergo like extensive testing. I told you each one is factory tested. There's no chance it's going to fail first time out. Well, little chance. I say one at a time, right? What are the chances that 3 fail back to back to back? That's fucking impossible. That's not happening. That's not just bad luck. So I say 1 in a million. I think that's super fair. Now, I'm super fair all along. Every bit of this, I'm super fair. I'm saying I'm not even counting the improbability in so many cases. So many zeros here. When it's like impossible. But even with that, I get this probability. 1 in this huge number. So chances of winning Powerball lottery is 1 in 262 million. Right? Chances of all this happening is this. That means I have to win the Powerball this many times. Like I said, winning the lottery once is seemingly impossible. Winning it twice is crazy impossible. Winning it this many times is, out of the world. That's just insanely impossible. I'm not winning the lottery this many times. Therefore, it is impossible that all this crazy shit is natural. It is intentional. The CIA are doing this. They know they can get away with it. They know no one's going to remember any of this. And then it's going to be, oh, that can happen. That's reasonable. Bullshit. All this is crazy, insane, impossible. But no one's going to remember a single bit of it. So the CIA will keep whacking my CPAPs, and my organs are eventually going to just total fail. My kidneys are not doing well now. I don't know if they can be repaired. I hope my kidneys can be repaired, but the CIA is going to have to back off and let me use my CPAP. Right now I smell like piss. It fucking sucks. I didn't include so many crazy, impossible things. Like getting whacked within 30 minutes of going everywhere. Multiple times a day. Every day of the year. Over many years. Bottom line. It is statistically impossible that all this crazy crap happened to my CPAP naturally. No way. It's crazy impossible. I'm not going to win the lottery this many times. For people to say, oh, that could happen, they have to reject it. Astronomical improbability. And they also got to think, oh, I know better what's going on in his life. It's not the CIA. They never did anything to him. They never screwed with him. They know nothing about all the shit the CIA have done against me. Or they got to think, I know better than him what he's feeling in his body. It's not happening. Bullshit. They know nothing. Or they got to think, I know his ailments and diseases better than him. They know jack shit nothing. Or they got to think, I know all his many, many medical tests when he's been tortured and all that time, especially in Illinois before I came here, when all those tests were positive. Everything I went in for was positive. Now everything I go in for is negative. I'm perfectly fine. It's bullshit. They're networking everything now. They know my tests better than me. They know all the diagnoses better than me. They know nothing. Or they'll say, I know medical knowledge better than him. The average person doesn't know jack shit. They think they do. They really know nothing about real medical knowledge. I, on the other hand, am damn near a doctor. And in a lot of ways, better than doctors. Many think, oh, that never happened to me or anyone I know, so that could never happen to him. That's crazy. Or many think, especially the patriot people, that could never happen in USA because USA be good country. And there is freedom, freedom, freedom. USA, USA, USA. That never happened USA. Bullshit. The CIA are the world's most expert torturers. They do evil. They've done so many assassinations too. They do evil shit. Now they may not be thinking these, but they have to be thinking this, something like this to believe this. To believe they know better than me. Furthermore, the masses are totally oblivious to the insane shit that's done right in front of their face. Who else in the whole world is watched 24/7 for 35 years, going back to when I was in the Navy? And that being shown all around. Made available to the whole damn world. People say, oh, everyone be watched because there's cameras everywhere. Bullshit, no one's watching you because they can give a shit about you. You're not watching all 7.7 billion people in the world. No one's watching all them. This is only happening to me. People throughout the world scrutinizing with a microscope everything I do or say or write, desperately seeking for something that they can attack, right? And shift all focus onto something they can manufacture some bullshit attack. People are on the edge of their seats, desperately looking for something I do, say, or write. Who's that done to in the whole world? No one else. It's real-time interactive. They're attacking me right away. And immediately after I say something that they can attack or do something, right? Instantaneously, the attack is spread throughout a whole worldwide network. Who's that done to in the whole world? No one but me. I'm constantly under the gun by people desperately wanting to attack me. That is way beyond total invasion of privacy, but people think nothing of it, mostly because it's not being done to them. If it were done to them, they would scream and cry like babies, right? But because it's not being done to them, who cares? That's okay, never mind, right? I mean, that's how people think. They don't give a shit as long as it's not being done to them. Now, who else in the whole world are these things done to? No one. Stupid people might think everyone be watched all the time because there be cameras everywhere. Bullshit. You're not watching all 7.7 billion people in the world. All 7.7 billion people are not being watched. Bullshit. No one's watching them because what do they matter? They're insignificant. No one cares. Unless they commit a crime and they're under law enforcement surveillance. People think there is no motive in doing this. It just is. It's just part of normal life. Never mind the many billions of dollars the CIA have spent in surveillance equipment. They didn't have cameras everywhere when it first started. They installed cameras everywhere. Followed me everywhere. Installed cameras everywhere. Micro cameras that you can never see. Pinhole cameras. All around my apartment. I never see them. in manning surveillance equipment, in making the worldwide social media network for me. I mean, they spent billions of dollars making it. And installing toxic mold dispensers everywhere I go within 30 minutes of me going there multiple times a day, every damn day of the year, over multiple years. That's spending a shitload of money. Given all this massive effort and billions of dollars spent, right, there is powerful motive. They're not doing this just for shits and grins. They're not doing this for no reason, right? But the masses believe there's no motive. How can they, right? The only way they can believe there's no motive is either they cannot imagine anything else being done, or they think, if I don't see it, it's not being done. Because I'm showed everything. Nothing can be hidden from me. I see everything. I'm the all-seeing eye. Bullshit. The CIA only show you what they want you to see. All the rest they keep hidden from you. They're not showing them fucking with me. Now, most of all, the masses never learn get you again games and ad hominem attacks, which is why they're doing this. I've taught them literally thousands of times, but they never learn. Their brains never follow what's going on, right? And of course, they have fragile egos, and they deny it all. You can't fool me. My mama didn't raise no fool. I'm too smart. So the masses never realized the CIA's purpose in toxic mold and the CPAP attacks. They never realized what the main purpose is to manufacture an ad hominem attack on my credibility. The next purpose is to degrade my abilities, make me sick, make me tired, make me so I can't think. And then the third reason is they whack me sometimes after I teach something they really hate. So that's retaliation. Right? This is my Excel spreadsheet. All right. That's that. Hopefully you learned something.